Woohoo! I always liked the disclaimer that Spirit has this. It's not me that's doing this work. So, but welcome, welcome, and welcome to those of you here and those of you really, really, really far away. As I know, I spoke to a friend this morning in Florida, and she's tuning in on YouTube to watch us. So I'm really excited about being in person again and also being able to touch everywhere, which is really, really, really cool. And so our purpose this morning is to have a little fun, learn a little bit, and get a little inspiration. And keeping in consciousness, the theme for the month of August is being wholeness. I want to thank Mirlan for just a fabulous meditation. That was like really, 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 really good. Yeah. And so as Reverend Laura mentioned, my talk about transformation, why wholeness? Why wholeness is the new success? Why would wholeness be the new success? Can you imagine being at peace with yourself, where you are aligned with your highest truth and living your highest purpose? No ifs, ands, or buts. I believe that living our highest truth is something that we're all called to do. We come fully equipped with that. It's already in there, as Merlin said this morning in the meditation. But sometimes things don't go according to plan. And that's what makes life fun. So let me share a little bit about what happened to me along the way. And so that's where transformation comes in. And it's hyphenated, so it's transformation, being a transgendered person. So 33 years ago, I attended a seminar at LAX for business. I was writing loans for First Federal Bank of Santa Monica. And I read the book that would change my life forever. Every once in a while that comes along. You know, I'm sure everybody has something where your life just stops. And then you go another way. And so that book for me was Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a big, thick book. I don't know, it must be 150,000 words. It's like really, really dense, but it got me. And so now I'm in the process of writing my memoir. It's the first memoir. I may write more. I understand that you can write many memoirs. But you can only write one autobiography, which is your life story. But a memoir is a slice of your life. And so Stephen Covey's book sold over 40 million copies. Wow, that's like 1 million copies a year for 40 years. I'll be like, I'm going to say, I'll be lucky if I can hit 1 million. That would be like really great because I know I'll be touching a lot of lives. So the title of the memoir is called Transformation: From Man to Woman, From Broken to Whole, and the 9 divine principles to bring you home to wholeness. So in writing my memoir and digging into this, my life has changed forever. Just like 7 Habits changed me forever. So it has my memoir so far, and we're only in the submission process right now, so we're about halfway through. So we'll be getting feedback and ideas on how it could be better. So as you hear the talk today, I'll invite you for feedback and to sign up for feedback to see about excerpts and such. And also, if you're online, make sure you drop a note in the chat box if you'd like any of us to get back in touch with you for prayer or more information on the memoir itself. So back to 7 Habits. And one of the habits right in the beginning is begin with the end in mind. Sounds innocent enough. And they say everything comes into your life at the perfect right time. So it was the perfect right time for me to hear that. I was at Van Nuys Airport, the observation area at the Van Nuys Airport, which I would often go there to read and write and meditate and just escape from life. Because I was not a happy camper. I was living in agony. You see, I was born or raised with this thing known as transgender, which they didn't have back then. They didn't know about that stuff. So you just had to sort of suffer along with it. And I was hyperactive and got in trouble quite a bit along the way. But here I was in about 1990, heading into midlife crisis, married with 2 beautiful children, proverbial American dream, 2 cars in the garage, double income, 2 kids, all that kind of good stuff. And I had gender dysphoria. I tried to get rid of it with everything I had. Wasn't something very popular back then. But most people didn't even know what it was. They didn't even have the word transgender until the mid-90s. And it was a psychological disorder. It was in the psychological book, the big thick book about, how weird that is. And I made the mistake when I was trying to straighten my life out in the mid-1980s I thought that getting married would fix this. And so I did that. I went to this experiential multi-day training called LifeSpring, which is the equivalent of what today would be called the Forum, the Landmark Forum, which is, how to live an unprecedented life. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. I'd like to live an unprecedented life because my life was messed up. And if there's anything could go wrong, I was a Murphy specialist. If anything could go wrong, it did. And every time I would imagine what it would look like to change over, to take a leap from man to woman, my inner critic would just jump and yell, "Yeah, but you don't have this. You can't do that. You don't have enough money. You don't have enough time. You don't have enough," just on and on and on and on and on. And the list of yeah buts was a mile long. It was terrible. I had seen my life, and it had come to a near end several times. And my list, though, of yeah buts became my checklist on how to get on with this and how to move along. And it wasn't something I was doing on my own. I was intimately connected with Spirit. Spirit was my guide, and I didn't do anything without asking for help along the way. There's no way I could have done this on my own. I probably would be dead. And so my kids were going to the local Catholic school, St. Bridget of Sweden, and I was being the mortgage lender, and I was a recreational golfer. Thank God. Thanks. In the local men's golf club, where I even won their annual men's club championship. However, every time I put that little white ball on the tee, I wished and I imagined that I was a woman playing golf instead. So I began to take the steps necessary to climb out of the hell that I was living in. It was either that or die. So as soon as I began to take some steps, my wife promptly divorced me. And she didn't want anything to do with what I was called to do. So this was my calling. And so in June of 1995, I took the leap of faith to change and to save my life and to transform and transition from man to woman. So let the miracles begin. Little did I know, I was jumping out of the frying pan and into the flames. I had no idea. There is no book on how to do this, really. And it's just not available. So I did solve. On the outside, I solved my gender dysphoria. And now I had to make a living. And to tell the truth, I felt like I was trying to climb the ladder of success all over again, but this time as a woman. In a business suit, in heels, hose, makeup. And what I ran into was hatred transphobia, rejection, misogyny, threats to myself and the family that they were going to, I was in harm's way. And the local real estate community I was in, they advised me to leave. I was an award-winning lender with them, but as soon as I transitioned, I was an outcast. So I was shunned and blacklisted, and nobody would do business with me. So I really was shaking my head like, what am I supposed to do? And so the universe served up an opportunity for me. And in December of 1996, I got in a horrible car crash in Topanga Canyon in California. And so I escaped in one piece. My car was destroyed, and I went to work on meditating. It was the end of December 1996. And my spiritual guide at that point in time was Carolyn Mace. And she's the author of Anatomy of the Spirit and quite a few other very, very, very amazing works. So Carolyn Mace, thank you. And so all I could hear when I prayed into why am I here on earth was golf. Not anything else, only one word, golf. And I said, well, really? I'm not good enough to be a pro. What on earth should I do? And so the answer just came back, golf. After persisting and resisting, I surrendered. And therein is, of course, that is one of the 9 principles. And that was the one that I invoked early on in the process of surrender. I quit. I gave up. I stopped trying to do it by myself. I released. I let go. I let God. Got my golf clubs out of the garage, dusted them off, and started playing every day. I invoked a principle of love, but which I learned on how to apply love as an action verb from Stephen Covey in his work on relationships, and I decided to love every golf shot I hit, whether it was good, bad, or indifferent. If I hit it down the fairway, in the hole, or over the fence in someone's pool, I loved every shot. And I found this to be pretty handy because each shot became a teaching device, and then, of course, the metaphor for life is right in front of us. Every day, we have another shot. So see how we can apply this as loving every shot. Today, I get another shot. Thank you, Spirit. I do. Yep. And so, amazingly enough, 6 months later, I turned pro in golf, and I started teaching golf because I had nothing else. I didn't know what else to do. I tried to get a job, and I was laughed out of town. I had to leave the area to get a job as a teaching professional. And so I did get a job down in the South Bay area by Palos Verdes. And I began teaching golf. And then the lessons started to multiply, and just like loaves of bread, they just started to multiply. And I didn't have to do anything. They just kept coming and coming and coming. I'm going like, is this how it really works? And the answer is, of course, yeah. But I made the mistake along the way of thinking that money was the solution to my financial problems. And then along the way, I was voted Teacher of the Year. I did join the LPGA. I actually, when all my surgeries were complete, I did qualify by the letter of the law to join the Ladies Professional Golf Association. I shot my way in there with good competitive play in the Women's Professional Golf Tour out in the West Coast, the Players West Women's Professional Golf Tour. And so I did well, and I was headed for national competition, but then Mother Nature decided to have my hips replaced. So I was not supposed to be on the big tour, but I did compete on several of the regional tours. And I did, so I got into the LPGA straight up. However, though, I was deathly afraid of being outed and discovered because now that I had this new career, I was back in the closet again for fear of being discovered and losing all my clients because none of my clients knew I was transgender. So they just assumed I was born female. And that's the way I would have it, but it was a little bit different. And so I won the national or the Western Teacher of the Year award and such. But anyway, so skipping a little forward to 2014, I became licensed as a spiritual practitioner with Centers for Spiritual Living down in this little church in North Hollywood, California called the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science. And that was, it sure was personal growth, but I still was missing something. I had resumed my alcohol relationship, which was not a good one. And I attempted to hide and be invisible with alcohol. And that's not good. As a result of that, I had experienced 3 heart attacks within 6 years. And I was truly on death's doorstep. And I just had that face-to-face moment with God and myself. And I said, I do not want to die from alcohol. That's not going to be my legacy. And so in the tail end of 2017, I decided to say once and for all, yes to life and no to alcohol. And so that's the end of that in my life. And I'd always been told by my clients and friends that my story would make a good book and a good movie, and I think it may. But now I was on a mission, but I didn't have a clue of how to write this thing. I had about 25 journals, thank God, but it was just a reiteration of just my calendar and such like that. And so my feeble attempts at writing a memoir it was just like a 25,000 word run-on sentence. And it was just, I go like, this is not working. I need some help. And ask for help, and it's given. So that's when I found a Hay House Writers Community. And so I joined, and I know from golf that when you need help, ask a pro. So, I asked for professional help and followed the advice, but I resisted all the way. I was like so resistant. I'm going like, I can't come out with this whole story. I'll be rejected and killed. But you know what? We're called on to live the life authentically, not to cover it up. So let's help to transform the world in that respect. And so I did contact another writing company, and they said, you should write a transformational self-help book for people before you write your memoir. Well, they just wanted me to go with them as a book company. And so I wrote a book on golf, Make Them Beg to Play Golf with You. And so that was quite a little spirited self-help book for women who want to or need to learn how to play golf and haven't the foggiest idea on how to do it. Needless to say, not a bestseller. You can find it on Amazon, and we might do something with it in the future. But I was chasing success for all the wrong reasons. I was chasing financial freedom as a solution to all my problems. And it was when I finally surrendered again and went into Nancy Levin's Life Coaching Academy that I came face to face with my real problems, because I said, well, I don't want to be a life coach. I'm already a golf coach unless I can heal my wounds that were still open. And so I learned that I need to be able, in order to do any good, I need to work from my scars and not my wounds. The wounds need to be healed. So I learned that my shadow identity was shame and unworthiness from being transgender and having alcoholic in my history. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Brene Brown's Atlas from the Heart, Louise Hay, Nancy Levin are my spiritual gurus to be able to crack my own personal code and to get out of this big mess. And so instead of chasing financial freedom, I began to chase wholeness. And I wasn't sure what I was up to, but I did learn to embrace all qualities and all principles. Embrace it all, because when you do, it no longer has power over you. And so in order for that to go away, I began to embrace all qualities, as all qualities are in each and every one of us. And my life started to make sense. We all need money, and we'll all be provided for. And if you look at wholeness, it's all-inclusive. It's like one of those all-inclusive resorts. Everything's included, including financial freedom. So I didn't have to worry about chasing that anymore. It was already included in what I already had. And so as Reverend Laura said, my proposal did really well with Hay House. I submitted it this summer, and now I'm off to recraft it and reshape it so that it can come out as something to be solid and something to serve the world. And so coaching, I've always been a coach. And my mission is to help people release fear and shame, to become whole and complete, and to thrive in life. And this is why I say that wholeness is the new success. And recently, Rev Laura introduced us to a great book, which I fully embraced and adopted, just like I did with Stephen Covey's book, which is A Hidden Wholeness by Parker J. Palmer. And this will be the backbone of our Sacred Circle coming up later on this year when we move into our new facility and start having classes and things like that on the property. But now I want to take us now into today's spiritual practice. And it'll be a guided meditation, including thoughts and principles from Palmer's book and my own. So I invite you to turn your attention inward to that innermost place where all is well. As you're able, feet on the floor, sitting up straight, breathing in through your nose and exhaling out with a big sigh out of your mouth. Just allow your attention to go inward to that place where all is well. It's just all well. Palmer's book begins with a poem by Leonard Cohen. It's short but mighty. A blizzard of the world has crossed the threshold, and it has overturned the order of the soul. So keeping your eyes closed, going deep down into your heart, your center of compassion and passion, I invite you to open your heart and open your soul while listening to the following questions. When you hear the little voice within, how often do you pretend not to hear it? How long have you been afraid to try something new because of what others will think of you? Are you hiding your beliefs from those who disagree with you to avoid conflict, challenge, and change? Are you afraid to reveal your true identity for fear of being criticized, shunned, or attacked? So if any of these trigger you, or if you've answered, yes, then perhaps you might be living what Palmer calls a divided life. So there's you, and then maybe something else. So in the pursuit of wholeness, I want to bring you 7 thoughts on wholeness. Wholeness is the nature of God. Wholeness is divided no more. Wholeness is living in integrity. Success mimics wholeness, but success is not wholeness. Wholeness, like success, is not a destination. It is not perfection. It's embracing brokenness as an integral part of life. And wholeness means that nothing is missing. Wholeness is who you are, not what you have. And for those of you that are wondering, what are the 9 principles to bring you back to wholeness? They are love, which is the overarching principle of all that there is. Gratitude, joy, faith, compassion, forgiveness, courage, surrender, acceptance, worthiness, metta. And the reason why I chose metta is because it is the unconditional loving kindness that we can pour into ourselves and pour out to our community in the world so we can heal ourselves from within and heal the world from without. And the big catch in all of this is unconditional. And the big catch is having the faith of God, the faith of Spirit, as compared to, say, having faith in God or faith in Spirit. Unconditional puts you on the same level, so to speak, when you have the compassion of God. And a closing quote from my spirit guide from A Course in Miracles, Mary Ann Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. And I simply say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.